Representative Ken Calvert of California leads the House Appropriations Defense Subcommittee. In part two of our wide-ranging interview with the California Republican, our Valerie Insinna asks him about Golden Dome.
I wanted to ask you about another huge priority for the Trump administration, Golden Dome. I think, what I've been hearing from many lawmakers is that, especially from Republicans, that there's a lot of support for the concept, but that there's a lot of questions about how it's going to be executed, what this is going to look like, what the budget is going to look like. I think you yourself are in that boat of just wanting to see more information from the Defense Department. So where are you kind of right now? Has the department been more forthcoming with information to you? What more would you like to see from the department in terms of information that would allow you as an appropriator to put the money where it needs to be and make sure that it's being spent wisely?
Well, I've been here for a while. I've seen a lot of large projects not succeed. This is a huge project, and so we want to make sure that it's funded properly, that it's executable, and that it can deliver on what it promises.
That it doesn't become another future combat systems?
Right, or others that we've gone through over the years, but this is much larger than the future systems or some of the other things that we've been doing. This is, theoretically a huge undertaking. So it's a great objective. It's an objective we all want to see met, but let's see a plan. Let's see how we get there. Let's see how what the timeline is, and to see if it's achievable in a reasonable time frame. I've yet to see a definitive definition of what we're trying to accomplish here. Is this a system that defends against theater weapons, strategic weapon systems? Is it the lower 48? Does it include Hawaii, Guam, territories? So how are we going to operate this? I'm sure that the people that have been put in charge are putting together an excellent plan for me to look at and a path forward. I'm very anxious to see it.
Have you been briefed by General Gutenlein yet, or?
We've had brief discussions before this happened and before he was chosen as the leader on this. I haven't talked to him since he's written communication.
I see.
But I'm sure we'll get together pretty soon, and we'll talk about that. I have a high regard for the general. I'm sure he's the right pick for the job, and I'm sure he's going to do a great job. And so I'm going to hopefully both me and a ranking member and all of us on the Defense Appropriations Committee are very interested in seeing how this is going to come together.
So I'd love to talk to you about a pretty topical issue. So last week, Secretary Hegseth announced, and President Trump announced, that there would be a change from the Defense Department to the Department of War. For it to be official, it has to go through Congress. Is there a potential congressional vehicle for that renaming to happen through something like the CR or something like the Defense Appropriations Bill? Is that something that you've been talking to folks about?
Well, we could certainly attach it to the Defense Appropriation Bill. I don't have a problem with that. It was the Department of War up until 1947, so it's not a new name. It's bringing back an old name. So I think what's important is not the name, but what we're trying to achieve within that department. And the Wall Street Journal had an excellent editorial about, okay, let's be in the position to win wars if we have them. And that's the objective of all of us in Congress. That's I think our number one obligation is to keep the country safe, and we need to make sure we can deliver on our promises. As you know, spending on defense has gone down over the years to the lowest level as a percent of GDP for many years. So I know Mike Rogers has been very vocal about that, and I have too, and so we need, Mike would like to go to 5% GDP. I'd be happy as hell to get to 4%. But I think that's probably realistic is where we should be.
So what I'm hearing there is, something like the Defense Appropriations Bill could be a vehicle for it, but it sounds like those discussions aren't happening right now. And
Well,
aren't
at some
maybe
point,
the most important thing that you're focused on
right.
either.
Well, we have to get the administration, on board with whatever we do. Obviously, the President of the United States is our leader, and he has to be supportive of what this endeavor is, and I think he will be. I think it's an objective to have the strongest national defense possible.
I mean, what about the Defense Production Act and SBIR, the Small Business Innovation Research Grant Program? They're kind of wonky little programs that exist in the defense world, but both of them are set to expire at the end of the month. Could either of those two be reauthorized on the back of the CR, or is that probably not likely?
Well, it's probably going to be a relatively clean CR, so maybe I'm sure there's a number of anomalies that we're going to look at that potentially could do that, but I'm glad you brought that up. I think that that's something we ought to look at.
After the full year CR was agreed upon, yourself and Senator McConnell sent funding recommendations to the Defense Department about how that money should be spent.
Mm-hmm.
How has the department done in terms of actually abiding by those recommendations?
I give them a C+.
A C+? Can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, I want to get it there, but we've been working with the department to meet the congressional intent. I think for the most part they have, and it could always be better, but I think they have for the most part.
Thank you so much again for your time.
Great.
I appreciate this.
Thank you.
And that wraps up our two-part interview with Representative Ken Calvert of California. To catch part one, make sure to go to breakingdefense.com or the Breaking Defense YouTube channel. And so you don't miss any of our congressional coverage, sign up for our congressional newsletter on breakingdefense.com. I'm Daniel Woolfolk. Thanks for watching.